All right, everybody. Welcome to Novalug, not the other Novalug, which is the Nova Lego user group. Let's see here. Uh-oh. Is this, there we go. Should. Real quick, some local business. If you haven't, make sure you sign in for Ridgeline. Also, make sure you have your parking ticket on you. If you didn't remember it, go get it now. They will validate for parking later in case you left it in your car. Again, thanks to Ridgeline International for providing the space and time for the meeting. Also, Wi-Fi details listed on the board if you got a laptop or device that needs connection. Meeting is streamed and recorded for later consumption online. All links will be provided on the Novalug website for consumption later. Links for anyone that's interested. For people using their phones to take pictures. Moving on. Also, we've got several people watching for latecomers, so if you see anyone on the Signal chat, just raise your hand, let us know. We'll let the Ridgeline folks know. First timers. 1, 2, 4. Welcome. We won't do any Rocky Horror-esque introductions, so rest easy there. Though I would love to start doing that, maybe. Welcome. So at this point, we're going to ask, does anybody have any job openings they want to let anybody know about? Any hiring managers? Anybody with jobs? No? Okay. Okay, so we're gonna broach this right now. Again, thanks to Ridgeline for the past. We've been informed that we need to find a new home in the future. If any of you are aware of a rec center, community center, library that's willing to host us, preferably not a basement, garage, or backyard, we are looking for a new home. So this is also an update to the new people. Keep your eyes on the website. As soon as we find a new home, we will make sure that we post the details of that, but just be aware that we will...
Next month is still here.
Yes, next month is still here. That will be our last meeting here. And then we are looking for a new home. Go for it.
Any specific areas, trying to stay Tyson, Centerville?
I mean, if you have suggestions, reach out to myself, Andy, John on Signal or Discord and let us know. I'm sure we're gonna try to find, I know that speaking to Andy in the past, they've had issues with libraries where they only want to let them use it, like they have like a 3-month limit and then you can't use it again, which seems mind-boggling crazy to me, but I'm also generally new to the area, so maybe it's in very high demand. Anybody else regarding that? Nobody? Moving on.
Still wants to play Saturday.
I believe the intent is to maintain the Saturday, the same monthly spot.
It's been at that for, I don't know, at least 20 years, maybe longer.
So, you know.
Yeah, just booted up my laptop. Well, what's the Wi-Fi password?
Go back real
Over
fast.
2024, capital N, capital L.
That's our security. They would think it's 2025, but it's 2024.
That's compliant. Thumbs up.
You good? Awesome.
Yes.
Call for presentations. Do you have something you're passionate about, want to talk about? Just interested in trying your hand out at presenting. let us know. Either let us know at the end of this meeting, let us know on Signal, let us know on Discord, send us an email. 15 minutes, hour and a half, beginner to advanced. Doesn't need to be overly polished. This isn't a boardroom meeting. No one's going to ridicule you if your slide decks look like mine, which are usually like clip art that I found online and just plastered everywhere just to kind of do the thing where, like, when your parents said to eat your vegetables and you just spread them around the plate to make it look like you did. Scope, keep it to open source, FOSS topics. You know, you're probably not going to get much reception on a Windows chat or how I love my Mac. You know, unless you're talking about Z Shell or something like that. Anyone interested, like I said, reach out either after the meeting or on Discord, Signal, email. Let us know. Upcomers. August, we've got running your own email server. I'm interested in this only because I'm curious to see what the rage level is on that. September, Novalug and the Fediverse. October, how to scare your children with Linux. I kind of like the idea of how to secure your children with Linux, because my logic is if they can get out of VI, then they can do whatever they want on that computer. That is what we have right now.
I was thinking about just like lightning talk of people who have like new FOSS applications they discovered and want to like kind of present them so other people would.
Drop us a line, let us know. We'll see if we can find a zone for that. The only thing I will say about lightning talks, and this is just me personally, trying to get enough people corralled ahead of time to give a full meeting's worth, but we can always figure something out. Maybe spread it across several topics. So that's upcoming presentations. And now on with the show. I know you had a topic. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay. We're going to keep the mic on the pod, if that's okay. If not, you can clip to your shirt if you want to. But I'm not going to drag out the lavalier mic to float it around.
Yeah, it's tight.
Listen, I hate HDMI. I want that on the record. I hate HDMI. I mean, I realize SDI is not a consumer product, but it would be so much nicer if...
Let me stop. Yay.
Something's coming up. All right, do you want to just clip it or
I
hold
can
it?
hold it.
Okay, perfect. Just as a quick aside,
Yep.
you're gonna roam, stay here.
No worries.
I need to bring the squirt bottle for someone to hold.
This way.
Aaron's the worst
That
at
way.
that. He likes to roam all around the front. Oh, before you start, your name and...
Yep. MDP. There's one right up there. And thankfully Ron's smart enough to know that, because I would have assumed he was putting me on when he originally said that. I think I was right along with the left-hand smoke shifter jig, but nope, it's a real thing. That's probably better. Just trying to make it the right size. Using Control Shift Mouse, Control Shift Plus. Was it doing it before? I did, and I'm going to go back. Give me 1 second.
While you're sorting that out, I do want to cover some quick business.
You're fine.
Just as a quick aside, Andy and Darren couldn't make it today. They had something more important, some meeting with Microsoft, I think. No, just a bad joke. They couldn't make it. They wanted it to be. So Yeah, just, you good to go?
Yep.
Okay.
Okie dokie. So I'm going to talk about port forwarding. Basically, because this is a light security talk, this is going to be how to do things that are interesting with port forwarding. The presentation is made with MDP, which is a markdown presentation thing, which is open source. Do look at it if you haven't had a chance. It's actually pretty cool. Because basically this is just a text file for the presentation. This is going to, oh, and I should have mentioned, I'm Zach Zabrowski. I'm available on Signal and Discord and all the regular places. And this is going to be the license I'm going to be using. Don't worry about that. So I've been a Novolog member since at least 2013. So like I was here when Greg was running it. I know enough to be dangerous on a lot of different topics. I play with Tor-related technologies as well, and also kites and drones. So a little bit dabble with the hardware side. It's been a while at this point, but still fun. I also have public presentations on web identity hacking, as well as forensic database analysis. This is related to web identity, which is basically figuring how you can obfuscate your location, as well as how to figure out who's at the end of a web connection. So that's all available in my GitHub. So this is the why bother about SSH port forwarding. This is so you can host data locally and share remotely. So basically, if you wanted to have like this laptop here, have data, and you want to be able to make it local using whatever Wi-Fi connection it is, but actually have it be available to the world, you can do that. Also, if you want to do the inverse, if you want to connect into your remote corporate environment through a non-obvious way, you can do that as well. Also, like business-wise, if you have an app that you have on your local machine and you want to demo that to external users using a technique like this, assuming it's not blocked corporately, like would allow you to be able to demo that to the particular user that you're trying to show. And the last one is, this is also how ransomware can be distributed, or malware can be distributed as well. Basically, the reason why is because it hides the remote IP address of the person actually hosting the malware, as well as it obfuscates who they are. So there's a couple of unique edge cases here that people can think about. I will say though, having the monitor on the way back is really cool. Yes.
So is this like using SSH over a proxy, basically?
So you're using SSH to create the proxy.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's cool. There's 3 different ways of using it, which I'll get to shortly. So there are custom clients for some servers, basically because so many people have abused it in the past. They basically require you to grab an auth token to make sure that you're a valid user, that you're not someone who's doing stuff for evil. However, there are still that requires, there are some that are purely free using SSH, using localhost.run or SSI.sh, which requires a custom Go client. But that basically allows you to authenticate in such a way that they actually know who you are. Localhost.run doesn't require that, but their tunnels, your host name changes over time. So That's the only caveat with that. That was localhost.run. Like the localhost.run allows you to have the host name static for about 6 hours, and then after that, it rotates to a new name.
So it's meant to be like temporary.
It's temporary, yeah. That's the intention. And there were other ones as well that have not stood the test of time because of the malware or other related issues. So basically, if it gets to the point where the hoster says, like, this is not worth my time, then the service goes down. So there's basically 3 different modes, and these are all switches that you use when you're connecting to, when you're using your SSH client to connect. One is for the local host, or -L, where you're basically opening a local port on the remote server so you could then connect into your local network. The -R is basically doing the inverse. So basically there you're having an exposed port on the internet, but you're actually connecting it to a local resource. And -D is dynamic. So are you familiar with SOX proxies? So SOX proxy is basically a way to push any protocol through through a proxy port. And so what you can do is, through using -D, is say if you have a VPS server in Germany, like you could basically have all of your traffic look like it's going through Germany. And there's other fun things like that that you can do as well. So that's the syntax for reverse, for remote listening. And D is basically SSH-D with whatever remote server you're using. And then you use Firefox to say, hey, use the local host SOX server on port 9090, and then that will make all of your traffic appear that you're going through there. And the other reasons why people do this is like like if you have a Bastion host and you're trying to prevent internal network resources from being exposed externally, that's a way they can connect through SSH. You can also connect through, you can also basically stage the application to make sure it's being installed correctly, that type of stuff.
Another good use for this is, I'd have to go back and check my notes, because I can't remember 100%, but I believe we used to do this at an old company for dial-up systems.
Yep.
We would have a script that when we, basically it would look for a file on a server every 20 minutes. And if the file was there, it would create a reverse tunnel to us. Using this method, so we could, which would then keep that connection on the dial-up system open so that we could get into them.
Gotcha.
So, and before everybody asks, no, this was not in the 90s. It was very much in the 2010s.
I understand.
There's one thing I've found is some companies incredibly cheap, and that includes petrochemical companies.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Awesome. So I'm now going to do a quick demo. So basically, I'm sure you're running a web server, which in this case I am, which is going to be using a remote server called remote2.exe.biz. I also have remote 3 and remote 4 in different countries, largely just for testing. I'm going to put this down here while I type.
While you type, how many of these are honeypots?
Currently 0. The reason why is because I use them for demos for my other class. They're all like $10 a year type machines. machines, so they're very powerful, very secure. Nothing to worry about. But again, I'm not doing anything. I went telling anyone else not to do. So eLinks is just a text-based browser. And all it does currently is it displays the host name. So using SSH, and I'm going to literally copy the command I have down here as the other window goes away. Okay. Control Shift C. Now I'm going to there we go. Control Shift V. I'm also going to make this one larger. Okay, so basically on top is giving you the caveats of it. But basically currently it's going to be running as an authenticated anonymous user on 9D2F3A, whatever that is, on localhost.run. Now, if you go to that particular web page, which I'm going to do with my cell phone, which I immediately, yeah. Here you go. I should say, generally speaking, don't do this.
How does the QR code show up in the
Oh yeah, this isn't granting root access to your server, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay.
So,
Because it's going out on YouTube.
No, no, no.
Once it kills the tunnel, it's done, so.
Yeah, as soon as I kill the tunnel, it's done. So like, remote 2 does .biz through that other host. And now when I hit Control C, assuming I'm still in the window, you hit refresh. I hit refresh. There's no tunnel. This host gone. So, like what I've used this before also for was remote session support type thing. There are some caveats with this, which I'll get into now. Localhost.run unsurprisingly gets this scanned by adversaries a lot. So if you're trying to do something somewhat sensitive, be careful. If the IP address for the remote host is not stable, your connection will not be stable. So what we were dealing with in one operational thing was that the remote host was just far enough away from the Wi-Fi host to drop connections every once in a while. That was a painful thing to go through because it's very, very hard to say, hey, can you go back to that machine and bring up the tunnel again as they're 4 rooms away? But I digress on that point. You can obviously move data around from machine to machine, which can be good and bad. You can also host files without being obvious. So like, unless you're explicitly blocking SSH connections going out or SSH with proxying going out, like these bad things can happen. And then with that, we should have questions.
well, I have the correction.
That's correct. For localhost.run, you don't have to download the client, you just have to use regular SSH.
Okay, you also don't have
Gotcha. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. That's cool.
yeah. And the auto SSH, I also use that before I have
Mm-hmm.
every time
Yep.
Eventually, I set up both servers to connect back to my house.
That's the way to do it.
SSH backup.
Yeah,
Then I can get to them anytime. I don't have to call them manually.
that's very cool.
As long as they are connected. Then, but such a connection is a systemd service. So if it finds the SSH client died, which means one of us has changed IP address, it will start it again in a few minutes.
That's very cool. That's awesome. That's exactly what these things are designed to do is that type of remote support type of thing.
Yeah, but the performance is not good because now you have
Yes.
TCP over TCP.
Yes, exactly. Like there are more modern solutions. This is sort of like for the one-off time case that we have to do this.
Yeah, because this machine, that's the 20 machine
Yep. Interesting. Very cool. Excellent. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Um, anyone else have questions? Addendum.
I was interested in tinkering with it.
Yes.
You can instantiate tunnel interfaces via SSH as well, and do native routing on a free interface if you're interested.
Interesting.
And then you could actually, right now, don't get me wrong, you're still going to, end up with, at some point, Nagel's algorithm is going to punish you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a way to actually get a free interface and do
Okay.
I would say in the last 5 years, by keeping up with the modern I don't want to make a guess at that, but I want to say.
It's like anytime someone talks about Wayland, I just cry.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to use Wayland, but
What do you start on?
It is
CentOS 7?
Yeah, so
Or
you
CentOS
just download
6?
the new instance.
no comment.
There we go.
AIX5?
It's
Awesome.
better than open API. If you cannot use the open API, that's
Here's this. I'll return this.
Do you happen to have a link or something to what you were talking about? Or documentation
I
or?
do. I don't have it right.
If you can find it later, I mean, I'd love to take a look at that. Everybody, let's give Zach a round of applause. Thank you, Zach. And what was your name? Aurora. Aurora.
Yeah, thanks for the GitHub address. I'm looking at it right now.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good content. I'll put the presentation up there too.
Ooh, that would be great.
Yeah.
What were you talking about?
AdGuard Home, so like a DNS server, and then I can also go into like Tailscale, which is like
Okay.
sort of like that basically, VPN. Where it's like a mesh VPN and
All right, everybody.
remote access.
We've got Aurora with miscellaneous topics. So
Basically, yeah, it's
there we
miscellaneous
go.
security topic.
There you go.
Yeah, let me just log in real quick. Which one do I want? Unify. Yep, okay. Hello, like you said, my name's Aurora, and basically miscellaneous topics. Starting off with what I use for DNS at home, and also I remotely access it, which I'll go into a little bit later. So I run AdGuard Home, which is it's basically like Pi-hole, but it's slightly different. It's open source, of course. GitHub wouldn't have it any other way, except for GitHub. That could change possibly, but it's what they chose.
Does it run on a Raspberry Pi?
It runs on a Raspberry Pi, yes. That's what I literally have it running on. But yeah, it is like their comparison table. Has a lot in common, but a few of the things I like about it is it can do encrypted DNS by default. Yeah, that's basically the main one that I chose it for. And the rules are, to me, are a bit easier because you don't have to go full on regex without trying to go with like, you can just do like star dot for like multiple subdomains.
But if it doesn't support regex, what will I do with my cat?
It can support regex. It's just it supports a lot of formats, which I can get into. So there's a dashboard. As you can see, I'm running it. Some Apple TVs, all my devices. Has some top query domains, top block domains, upstreams, which I'm using Quad 9.
Okay, quick question.
Yeah.
Are you creating a tunnel to your house to
Yes.
access this, or are you also providing it over the
No, not over the internet, and I was going to get into that next after this whole thing, specific to this. What was that question that I said I would? It wasn't client, wasn't encryption, wasn't DNS. No, there was a question that was asked, and I already forget what it was that I was going to look at. Of course, it's happy now. Sure. Did I get disconnected from the internet? I did get disconnected from the internet. Way to go. Okay. Oh, the filters. Yeah. So I don't think this. Yeah, this doesn't list the filters possibilities, but it's like regex, regular ad blocking syntax, host lists. It's basically every type of filter list it can use. I have it with like way too many filter lists. And like he asked, this does run on Raspberry Pi. I have it on Raspberry Pi at home. I've also run it on other things, but Raspberry Pi is more than enough. So yeah, it has a nice query log. You can filter it by all sorts of things. I don't get why, but filter is the same as blocked. I think blocked is just more specific. You can also rewrite some stuff, but it's quite limited. Not that one. DNS rewrites. So I don't have anything in here. If I would do it, I think I used bind in the past. Just some other miscellaneous one. DNS mask maybe. Console. Nope. Keys don't work. Okay, and then I use Tailscale to route everything because I can set it to force the DNS server onto the device that has Tailscale installed, and this one is the client. As you see, these are all 100 dot addresses, which are the. Do you remember what they are? No, you don't remember. Okay, it's the ones that are used in like cell networks and stuff, where they're like in intermediate addressing. CGNet, yes. And so I have all my devices on here. If I wanted to, I could also open it up locally or be dumb and open it up to internet and access it that way. But for now, I just have everything accessing it through Tailscale. But then I also have my network at home that has it, that Pi-hole on Raspberry Pi actually sits on. So then stuff is also referencing it that way. Yeah, so for this, it basically tunnels is based on WireGuard, but it is quite far from WireGuard. At this point, I would say, as in you can't just use WireGuard clients anymore, I don't think. At some point, you could. Yeah, this is their website. If you've heard of like Cloudflare Zero Trust, like if you've been using like tunnels or stuff, it's less enterprisey than that, but still has some of the same features. If I can find the pricing. Reason I chose this over Cloudflare, even though I already use some Cloudflare stuff, is you can have up to 100 devices. With them, I think it was limited, like less devices, but they're limited on users. They're just different things, basically. And let's see if there's anything else I want to look at. I'm trying to remember. And it has a list of block services, which arguably I don't find all that good because I have to block even more just for the iCloud thing, just to get stuff to use this. General settings. Oh yeah, and like I said, it can use HTTPS, TLS for upstream DNS and downstream. You can specify if you want explicitly UDP, explicitly TCP, basically it can do anything. DNS crypt. Yeah.
So does this function the same way Pi-hole does with block lists?
Yes.
Okay.
You can use the same block list that Pi-hole uses, or you can use other block list formats. It basically supports every block list format. It's basically just something you put in between the upstream and your clients to block more requests.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't think of anything else. Yep. Anyone have any questions? Or? That's good.
So how much of AdGuard is do you have? Is there like
They have a paid cloud tier. AdGuard Home is fully local. Don't know if I can easily
you
get
have
to.
access to all the features?
Yes, there is no paid tier for AdGuard Home. If you want to pay, you then go. You're paying because you want to go to the cloud. Let me see what they're. But yeah, they're mostly like ad blocking stuff. Some commercial products for like ad blocking and stuff. Yeah, AdGuard DNS is their cloud one, but AdGuard Home is fully local. And I believe it should be fully open source because GPL v3 and all that, and I don't think they have anything hidden away. So yeah. And I believe it has APIs and stuff you can hit from locally and whatnot. Just make your own dashboard probably.
I have a question.
Okay.
Chat. Why are AdGuard instead of Pi-hole?
AdGuard instead of Pi-hole, that was mostly it supports. Let me go back to that page. You can have encrypted DNS upstream by default. You don't have to route it through something else like DNS crypt, and then have additional software. And then also, its rules are easier for me to understand. I don't have to toss it into a regex parser or validation process just to make sure I did it right. Actually, I can show. Yeah, its format is a little weird, but if you're used to ad blocking on a web browser, then it's easier. And actually, here's the one that link that I wanted. It can support the ad block, which is what you're seeing. Etsy host, domains only, which is basically Etsy host without domains. So this is one where you do like an IP and that you want it to route to, and then the domain. Here's just domains. Thought it could do regex. Maybe it doesn't then. No, it can do regex. Okay, yeah. It doesn't just give any examples for regex, but regex is what Pi-hole uses for blocking more than one domain with one rule. Otherwise, it's typically the Etsy host. But yeah, I just find it simpler. I can just do star dot whatever without having to do a whole bunch of extra stuff. And I can put the star in the middle. I don't think I have any of those rules current. Nope. This one has a star in the middle. That basically means BG3 NAT, whatever is between there and the next dot would be anything. So it's like, there's just a few numbers that they use there. I wanted to block them all. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
What's the backing DNS? Do they use Pi-hole like
I mean,
from like an open source project to like a fork of their own?
I believe it's something they made their own because it's all like written in Go. And I don't know of any like big Go thing.
Go binary kind of thing?
I mean, it gets distributed as like one thing, but like it's all in here. No SSH ridiculous. Build internal. I don't know. I haven't browsed through this in a while, so yeah, this is all their libraries that they use. All their libraries are included in here. It's pretty custom built, actually. Yeah. That's part of what's also nice is it's all in one binary. That's what makes it easily distributable. Because if I go to here we go. How to install and run a Raspberry Pi. Typical setup stuff, and then you just curl this binary, not a shell script for once, and then you just run it. Well, you extract it, it has a few things, then you just run the install. And even though it has sudo there, Sudo is just for the initial install. After that, you can run it. However, I think there is some ways to trick it to install without even sudoing by setting everything up beforehand. But it can run without sudo. Like I have it just running as a unprivileged service, systemd service.
Run it as a Docker.
Yes, you can also run it in Docker, but SE Linux and me don't have fun with Docker, let's say. I use Podman also. I typically say Docker because most people know Docker, but Podman is also what I use. Trying to do rootless Podman on like Fedora or Rocky with SE Linux, something in that stack doesn't like it and it just doesn't work.
I've had trouble with quadlets.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to Podman, but quadlets with like this is so different from.
Well, you don't need to run quad.
No, you can.
Quadlets is just
No,
the way
but you know you can't do the thing with Podman of like.
You can. It has to be a systemd service. Yes.
Yeah, you have to run it as a
It's not
Then when I
that
looked
hard,
at the
but
documentation, they're like, we don't recommend systemd for this. We want.
they switched to something at some point. But I think I still use systemd services in backend for that.
The only thing I find that doesn't work is
The compose files or signouts?
we just can't use as a pre-canned composer and run Podman because there's no Docker daemon.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions, or is that good for now?
You should talk about what types of ads you can block.
Oh yeah, I can block Apple TV ads.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh yeah.
Be online, it's
Yeah. So my dad asked me because he knows what I block. He asked me so like what types of ads it can block. So for that, I can show you a specific example that is odds are being used somewhat recently.
Any of them end in hub.
Well, it can block domains at whole. Well, yeah, it could block GitHub, but I don't think it can block the GitHub ads. Well, it might.
Missed the joke.
I don't know. Probably did. I think I understand, but I think I'm not going there also.
Smart man.
Ads. I want to get no. No, please stop. I wanted to show a specific example that I know works very well. Ads. Disney ads is what it blocks and what my mom really likes. And kind of got her liking it and wanting me to fix it in a day. When it broke once, I have a guarantee of 0% uptime, of course.
I mean, listen, you're young and energetic.
Yeah.
About this.
Here we go.
This once my wife complained
Oh yeah.
about like I can't remember if it was Reddit or Instagram. Like it wasn't blocking that, but because the ads wouldn't load,
Yeah.
the website would take like 2 to 3 times longer to load overall.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all right.
Let's just say I snuck it onto the TV for myself, even though it wasn't blocking any ads that I wanted blocked. And because there was no ads to block for me, but then my mom got hooked on it because it was blocking her Disney ads. They were interrupting the show, and the show continued while ads played.
There was not a short period of time when Pi-hole would block the baked-in ads on Peacock.
Yeah.
Or if you had the lowest tier that would throw
Is this
ads
Peacock?
in per 30-minute TV show, it would block all of those. I don't think it
Yeah.
works anymore.
It's either Peacock or it's the Disney side of it.
Oh no, it was Peacock.
No, I'm saying this is either Peacock, Hulu, or Disney, but it's it's blocking Disney ads right here.
Gotcha.
I just don't remember what app on the Apple TV it is. It's either Disney, Hulu, or Peacock.
What's actually interesting is these providers are catching on. I think Hulu might be one.
Yeah.
You have the free tier, and you go to block an ad, it will just show a black screen. It won't actually continue until the ad is actually played.
Huh, yeah.
Twitch isn't always like that too.
Oh yeah, Twitch, YouTube recently, and all that, yeah.
I mean, that's the crazy thing. I pay for Prime or Premium, and it still like will do weird things to me if I have ad blockers turned on.
Yeah.
It's like I'm already paying you. Please shut up and just present me.
Yeah. I mostly just run it as like an additional layer behind because I also always run an ad blocker on my web browsers. So, yeah, and also blocking things that can't run an ad. So like kind of more for the security side of it, like a server or something would use this. So yeah.
virus scam from the late 90s, early 2000s. It was like, I had an uncle who will remain nameless who had 5 different antivirus software.
Oh God. You used to use 2.
Also, he was one of those that had like 9 different toolbars.
Oh
in
God.
Internet Explorer.
Oh, that kind of, yeah.
So, yeah, I know. You never know when you need to search Lycos, Yahoo, Excite, Alta Vista.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
whether block is better for the economy because now the web authors they cannot afford to provide you with content since they are losing their service.
Well, the secret behind this is that like Samsung figured this out. Ads don't work. Like the majority of ads do not work. That's why they
Yeah.
yanked ads from their own storefront. Like
Wow.
they pulled ads from their mobile storefront. They just don't do ads on there anymore from their own service. So like Google has been wrestling with the fact that their ad revenue keeps dropping year over year. So I mean, they keep shoving more ads in, thinking that's going to be the fix. This is sounding an awful lot like the beatings will continue until morale increases. Ads will increase until revenue increases.
Yep.
Well, Google tell the authors you can have 3 ads.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. So if anyone doesn't have any questions, I'm done. Oh,
Any
okay.
other questions? Thank you. Does anybody else have any topics they want to talk about or any non-security related?
Along the lines of what they were describing, there's something called Pangolin that I really like.
Yeah, I've been meaning to look into it.
I love it. It will, and I have it set up in a very weird way where I have Pangolin set up on my home lab and on a VPS. So it basically creates WireGuard tunnels so that you
Okay, so it's a
see
tunnel.
on the VPS like what services you have in your home lab, but I also have it so that I can use DNS, so I can get URLs set up in my home lab that you cannot, are not necessarily tunnel through into the VPS. And I also have even like WireGuard tunnels. They're called like newt. They use pangolin, newt, gerbil. These are accessorial animals. They're digging animals, supposedly. But even like within my own network, I don't like expose any ports. I just use tunnels through every machine.
Like across subnets or something, or
Yeah.
okay. Does anybody else have anything they would like to talk about or?
Totally off subject for this gathering.
Go for it.
I recently decided to replace the Wi-Fi adapter on my laptop to go from 6 to 7, Wi-Fi 7. And turns out the first Wi-Fi card I got was not compatible with my motherboard. But in the process, I wound up in trying to debug it and figure out if there's some way to make it work. I wound up installing and uninstalling it 2 or 3 times. And then I learned that in fact it was incompatible, wouldn't work at all, so gave up on that. Bought a new Wi-Fi adapter from a different vendor, and when I put it in my laptop and attempted to connect the antenna wires, I had a hell of a time getting them to stay connected to the Wi-Fi adapter. I don't know whether it was just that particular Wi-Fi adapter had slightly different diameters on the connectors or something, but I started worrying about whether there's a finite number of connections, disconnections on
Yes.
Wi-Fi antenna
Well, it wouldn't even just be that connector. I'll use the HDMI port as a point of example. HDMI, if I remember correctly, I'm going to get this wrong. It's either 50 or 100 plug-in, plug-outs, and each plug-in, plug-out counts as one. Is only good for that many plug-in, or that's what it's rated for, because it's a consumer product. It's not designed to be plugged in and plugged out. You're supposed to plug it in and leave it there. The fact that we use it on laptops is mind-boggling, but that's a different topic for another day. The pro side of things doesn't use HDMI. They use a connector or a standard called SDI, which looks like an old BNC connector. I mean, it is a BNC connector. It's coax with the locking tab. Like anybody that remembers token ring and the connectors, same thing. Because you don't want someone walking by your camera, tripping over the cable and yanking the port out. Thousands of dollars of equipment relying on a cheap plugging cable. So to your point, yes, technically each plug has an expected life cycle. You're not supposed to unplug certain plugs. USB, I think, has a higher plug-in, plug-out rating. My initial thought would be possibly when you initially unplugged it, you might have bent the outer hold on it. That's my guess. I'm very finicky whenever I take apart, especially home consumer electronics. Like when I was just doing redid the thermal paste on a PS3 of mine. Got to be real careful with those ribbon cables, with the little latch down connectors. You very carefully shred the connector points or the cable itself. So that's my initial thought. I've replaced a couple of Wi-Fi cards and laptops in the past. I've never run into a situation where the connectors were different, which I believe it's a standard connector type, but it's very possible if it was like a Dell or I don't know if Lenovo would have ever mucked with that where they use like a proprietary connector that's either just a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, but I mean, it's not unheard of. But yes, especially consumer electronics tend to be very low plug-in, plug-out usage point. Plug versus socket. Yeah, okay, plug unplug cycles 1500 for A. Mini A is 1000. Yeah, can you look up the HDMI one? But yeah, especially the smaller it gets, the more finicky it can be to just misuse. I don't want to call it misuse, just wear and tear. It's kind of like plastic. The first time you bend it, it's done. Like you can bend it kind of back, but it'll never have the same rigidity that it used to. Same thing with metal for the most part. So, did you manage to get it working?
I did, finally, and it'd be damned if I can tell you how I did it.
Just get some, the thermal tape.
Well,
Just kind of slap that on top.
yeah.
Throw some hot glue on it. Anybody else?
So I was going to add as well for compatibility with the module itself.
Go, keep going.
I recall, I believe Intel at a minimum is doing something funky where there's a custom protocol between the CPU and the Wi-Fi for the management engine stuff like that. So it might be physically compatible, but electrically that just might ignore it. Speak its custom language. I'd have to double check on that though, because that was a while ago. I was looking at a tiny one that existed, but don't quote me on that. But I think there might be something there as well.
If nobody else has any lightning talks, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Everybody's free to continue to chat. Bring up any topics they want to talk about, home lab, security, why everybody hates STIGs and FIPS, and why do we have things like SE Linux and FA Policy D. Before I do that, though, I do want to say a big round of applause to John for the coffee and the donuts. They're not here, but I know Andy's watching online, and Darren wishes he could be here. So a big round of applause for them, usually keeping the lights, or keeping the gears moving for everything. Ron and the team at Ridgeline again for hosting us. And that is it. Have a good weekend, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the meeting. Is it? No. I remember seeing somewhere that HDMI was. Nope.
I'd be surprised if it was that as low as you were saying, but I have to admit,
Well, I remember